This no-life Super Saiyan ass-hair loser falls in love with a beautiful girl in his dreams. One day, he sees the girl's pet in the street, and when he tries to save it, Truck-kun decides to strike and sends him into an Isekai'd where the girl of his dream live. An injured boy flees from monsters, narrowly dodging a deadly blow. Just when he thinks he's cooked, a strange girl yanks him behind a rock. When the coast seems clear, he thanks her only to spot a small creature under her dress. As she bursts into laughter, he quickly insists he wasn't afraid and would have crushed the monsters if he weren't hurt. She teases she'll rely on his Giga Chad strength next time, and when she winks, his last brain cell combusts. Summoning courage, he grabs her hand and confesses, only to wake up. Two bras beside him roast his NPC love story while a thug threatens his life for trespassing. But he's not even scared, just mad he still couldn't riz the girl even in a dream. The goons clown him for simping so hard, so he kicks one and declares his waifu is real actually. The thugs react badly, and one tries to smash his head with a club. He ducks and headbutts the guy's jaw. Still bound, the boy recites the Narihira motto, never surrender even in death. Takeru Narihira doesn't lose. Despite being tied up, he fights them off. Later, he rides off on a motorcycle, vowing to keep his promise to find the girl he loves. While crossing the street, he spots her pet and brakes hard, confused. He chases, dives like it's Olympic parkour, and rolls off a cliff. Instead of dying, he wakes up literally at her feet like a sleep-deprived simp with a death wish. He proudly says he's the guy she once saved. Plot twist, she has zero clue who he is. Smiling, he calls himself the boy she once rescued, but she doesn't recognize him. Suddenly, during a live stage show, the pet crashes onto his head, sending him face first into the girl's melons. She screams, a green-haired girl laughs in the crowd, and the blue-haired girl swears that wasn't part of the play. Annoyed, she asks Seimei if this isn't way better than those dull dances, and he totally agrees. Still, since it's a big day, he decides to rein things in and activates a device in his hand, launching a rope that ties Narihira to the stage. Though he enjoyed the chaos, it's time to clean it up. The girl Narihira loves then slaps him and tells him to leave. Thrown out, he ends up wandering the streets, thinking she must hate him and wondering how to fix things. He spots a boy eating a kebab and asks if it's sold at the convenience store, but the kid's clueless. Still hungry and confused, Narihira stumbles into a shop and struggles to buy anything. The clerk shows a weird currency screen, but with his dead phone, he can't pay and gets kicked out. Frustrated, he asks someone where they are and hears. This is Joe 7. On Bojo Lane, feeling strangely nostalgic, Narihira wonders if he's time-traveled. Then, a loud alert warns that black mist will hit in 1 minute. People rush to evacuate, but he and a few others get trapped outside as the mist rolls in. Narihira spots a child about to be consumed by dark mist and instinctively shields them with his body. The fog pulls them into a strange world where the child, like everyone else, is frozen in fear. As Narihira checks if anyone is still alive, a massive monster appears and starts smashing the petrified people. Refusing to flee, Narihira bravely tells it to back off. The beast attacks, injuring him badly, but he survives. Before he can recover, it strikes again, only to be punched away by a sudden robotic figure. Stunned, Narihira watches the machine as its pilots, trying to understand why the kid wasn't frozen, commands him to stay put. But Narihira boldly claims he'll take on the beast himself if it returns. The Oni charges back, but the robot steps in. With both Yuna and Atsunaga piloting, they unleash the 5 elements. As the Omi attacks, the robot counters with 5 thunders, finally taking it down. From the control room, the blue-haired girl realizes Narihira is the same boy who had crashed the stage, now visible as the black mist fades. Authorities arrive to assist the injured, while 2 robot pilots check on the unpetrified boy. Despite being rescued, Narihira smugly claims they interrupted the beating he was about to give the giant, which nearly pushes Yuna to attack him. Atsunaga steps in, grabbing Narihira's shoulder to defuse the moment, noting it's crazy he walked through the mist, but reminds him he's no onmyouji. Before he can explain, he's called away. Nearby, the girl who turned to stone in Narihira's arms is alive, and he smiles in relief. Meanwhile, a confused Narihira wanders Denji Heian-kyou, trying to stay positive with an old family saying, until the girl from his dreams reappears, irritated now that she recognizes him. She scolds him for ruining the play, especially with the Emperor's advisor watching, but notices he's injured and kindly brings him food. As they eat and talk, she realizes he's from another world and is stunned to learn he walked through the mist, a feat never seen before. Narihira, curious, asks about the mists and the Oni. A nearby man explains that Oni are otherworldly enemies of humanity, and the black mist appears during their invasions. The girl guesses he wants to return home and mentions onmyouji might help, but Narihira dismisses the idea, especially because he dislikes Atsunaga and Yuna. The man, annoyed, says the onmyouji protect the city by controlling Shikigami. A woman that adds their leader is Abeno Seimei, though Narihira mishears it as Anbai Hariaki. That night, he can't sleep and sees the dream girl dancing in the moonlight. He steps outside, claps for her, and she smiles, asking if they've met. He says yes and reminds her of his vow to grow stronger to protect her. She promises to remember and introduces herself as Tsukimiya. The next morning, while helping with chores, Narihira sees the Imperial Advisor's messenger approach. Speaking with Tsukimiya, the messenger complains the show was ruined when someone interrupted the stage, angering the advisor, who now demands Tsukimiya apologize at the palace. Narihira admits he caused the chaos, but the messenger ignores him and insists Tsukimiya come. When Narihira tries again to confess, Abeno Seimei intervenes and stops him. Narihira mistakenly calls him by rank, but Seimei laughs, saying people often misread his name. After Narihira is restrained, the chief onmyouji comforts Tsukimiya, who seems to believe him. As they ride in an air car, a green-haired girl asks if Seimei minds how odd the boy is, but he just shrugs. Suddenly, another black mist alert spreads. Denji Heian-kyou is seconds from being engulfed again in the grand pandemonium. The warning is late, and the mist slams into Tsukimiya's cloud carriage. Spotting the danger, Narihira grabs a weapon and runs, remembering his vow to protect her. Inside the mist, Yuna and Tsunaga fight off invading Oni. Narihira braves the twisted terrain until he finds the crashed carriage. As the onmyouji strike a giant enemy, they're ambushed by an Oni using portal-based attacks that outmaneuver the Shikigami. Yuna frozen Tsukimiya, the Oni finishes with a powerful blow that damages the robot's spirit core. Meanwhile, Seimei rushes to the control room to check the battle status. On the field, the Oni is about to destroy both the Shikigami and Tsukimiya when Narihira suddenly appears and lands a surprise hit. The crowd was stunned when the boy emerged again from the black mist. Everyone except Seimei, who smirked mockingly. Empowered, Narihira attacked, but a massive Oni grabbed him, crushed him, and slammed him down hard. The creature then stepped back, leaving him broken. Yet his injuries mysteriously vanished. As the Oni prepared another blast, Narihira stood and whispered his family's creed, "Never surrender, not even in death." With that, he charged straight into the blast, countering it with a devastating punch. His body morphed, now armored, and he delivered a final earth-shattering strike. Watching from the control room, Seimei grinned, finally recognizing the boy's potential. Inside the mist, Narihira saw his friend alive and exhaled in relief, until the Oni's core rose and a gate shattered Tsukimiya. Another Oni appeared, impaling Narihira from behind. He then jolted awake, back at the moment he first arrived in that strange world. Spotting Tsukimiya alive, the boy leaps up, crying with joy, until she suddenly screams loud enough to shake the neighborhood. Uncle Wada bursts in with a bamboo stick, but it's Atsunaga's hidden blades keeping Narihira in check while Atsunaga himself hides awkwardly behind the props, mumbling he just happened to be there. Narihira pleads with Tsukimiya to recognize him, but she insists she's never seen him. Later at the Onmyo agency, Seimei brushes off news about the chief counselor's event and tells Kazura to attend instead, while Shino eagerly jumps in. Meanwhile, Narihira keeps begging Atsunaga to believe he knows Tsukimiya, who still denies everything. From afar, Shino jokes there might be a monkey in the cage, and Seimei comes to see. Narihira insists he knows her from his dreams, and Atsunaga admits she appears in his too. When the three arrive, Narihira calls the boss Hariaku, prompting Shino to correct him. Narihira had hoped the leader would recognize him, but Seimei's clueless. Shifting tactics, Narihira claims he fought an Oni in the black mist and ended up here after being impaled. Atsunaga scoffs at the idea of him surviving that alone. Narihira loudly claims he punched the beast himself, and while Seimei doesn't dismiss it, he stays skeptical. The prisoner then shares a family saying, trust must be earned through real action. He demands a duel with an onmyouji and gets his wish. Moments later, he's left wheezing after a tough match. Yoro complains it's been 30 minutes, and Seimei explains the guy's trying to prove he's fit to join the 5 stars, but he seemed to back out. Then Yuna kicks him in the face, scolding him to respect the onmyouji. Seimei, unimpressed, questions him a bit more before letting him go. Cut to Narihira racing through the city, covered in bandages, only to stop where the festival stage should be, except it's gone. Tsukimiya and the others don't recognize him, and the poster says the festival is still 15 days away. He somehow traveled back before her death. Then Tsukimiya reappears and recognizes him, confused when he asks about the stage. She says it's always been there, built once a century for a major event, and that the Emperor's chief counselor will be at the opening show. Narihira suddenly remembers who that is and asks when he's arriving. Tsukimiya says it's in 15 days, and suddenly everything makes sense to Narihira. He vows to protect her no matter what, As he walks off, it hits him. He's truly back before the day Tsukimiya died, the same day the counselor visited. That gives him 2 weeks to grow strong enough to stop it. Without delay, he rushes to Haryaku and demands to learn about the onmyo. Since he defeated an Oni alone, the pilot leader might see potential in teaming up. Kazura mocks him for bluffing after his earlier failure, and Seimei questions his confidence, but still agrees to help. Returning after such a blow takes guts, and that earns the leader's respect. Now Narihira has 1 week to prove he's not just talk. The next day, Kazura explains that onmyo arts are about using spiritual energy to manipulate the 5 elements: water, wood, fire, metal, and earth. Most people are born with some spirit power, but mastering it takes serious time and talent. After hours of training, Narihira and Shino are already drained. Then the intruder pops in, asking about Shikigami. Kazura shows them the training doll and demonstrates it by using her spirit glove to animate it. Narihira's task? Get the doll to move by channeling energy. And he can't call it teacher until he does. Brimming with confidence, he presses his glove to the doll's back. Nothing happens. Hours later, still outside the classroom, he keeps failing to make God stand and grows increasingly irritated. Atsunaga finds him in the courtyard and asks why he returned after being set free. Though doubtful of his story, the pilot's intrigued by what's pushing him so hard. Narihira shrugs it off. He only cares about getting strong enough to protect what matters. Atsunaga, unimpressed, says he can't even control his Shikigami yet, then expands Narihira's spiritual capacity by force. When asked if he'll get stronger, Atsunaga says only if he can handle the pain. Narihira tells him to go ahead, but the agony is far worse than expected. Later, Atsunaga holds a pendant and mutters that strength is the only way to protect anything. Narihira suddenly pops up behind him, asking if he's a Tsukimiya fan too. Startled, Atsunaga demands why he's in his house. Narihira says he's got nowhere else and figured a close buddy might help. Atsunaga refuses to house a jobless adult, so Narihira says Tsukimiya is the only other person he knows and heads for her place. Defeated, Atsunaga lets him stay. The drifter repays him with an incredible meal, and at dinner, Yura wonders why she was even invited. Narihira calls it a gyoza party and urges everyone to eat while it's hot. Yura doubts his cooking, but changes her mind after tasting it. She storms off with leftovers, insisting it doesn't mean she likes him. Atsunaga then asks who Narihira wants to protect, and he says Tsukimiya. They have a serious talk where Narihira reveals he's a time traveler who knows she'll die in 15 days. Atsunaga is skeptical, but declares he'll protect her. Their tension leads to a fight. Narihira goes all out, but Atsunaga easily counters with his solid body techniques, sending him flying. 3 days later, Narihira begins training in Ricky's body-reinforcing arts, though he's told it'll take a year. Yura later questions Atsunaga's loyalty, hinting he's hiding something about that boy. Before things escalate, a red alert warns of black mist approaching. In the control room, Kazura says its stealth level is 3.6. Narihira bursts in, claiming he can fight it without his Shikigami using Ricky's power, but Atsunaga knocks him down, saying he's not ready. Narihira tries again but blacks out and wakes in bed. Atsunaga says he and Yura took care of the mist. Frustrated, Narihira is taken to a destroyed district where Atsunaga once failed, losing both his Shikigami and his commander. He warns Narihira that charging an unprepared can cost everything. Being an onmyouji means being ready to die to stop the Oni. Although Narihira claims he has someone to protect, so does Atsunaga, and if the newcomer stirs trouble, he won't hesitate. Yura quietly eavesdrops. That night, Narihira stews alone, angry over what he heard. A week after making the deal with Seimei, the onmyouji head learns the intruder vanished. Kazura confirms the kid skipped training, and the leader admits he underestimated him. Suddenly, alarms blare, black mist incoming. As Narihira freezes, Kazura activates the pedestal and tells Atsunaga and Yura to call their Shikigami. Inside Denji Heian-kyou's mech, they confront an Oni controlling puppet hordes with drums. Yura commands the field, coordinating lightning spells and using foresight to block every strike, earning Kazura's praise. But just as Atsunaga's spell charges, the Oni ambushes, ripping apart their spirits and blasting Yura. Surrounded and alone, Atsunaga declares a vow, summoning divine thunder. As he attacks, Narihira storms in, knocks him aside, and launches a blow so powerful it sends the Oni flying. The room falls silent, quoting his family's motto, "Trust must be earned." He impresses Atsunaga, who asks him to join the Shikigami. Fighting together, they repel the puppet waves. At the climax, Narihira releases his full strength, evolving their spirits and ending the battle in one blow. As the mist fades, Narihira and Atsunaga walk off. Yura jokingly kicks him, and Seimei reminds them no brawling, only for Yura to smirk, saying he's not on the team yet. Seimei, and it makes it official. Narihira heads to the training grounds to team up with Atsunaga in a 2-2 match. Kajiki mocks them, doubting a rookie with weak control over a god icon. Iruka jokes they should take it easy, but Narihira fires back, asking if they're scared of a prodigy. Atsunaga reminds him it's a drill, but Narihira insists on giving his all. When Atsunaga is confused by one-on-one, the cameraman clarifies, usually solo, but today's a duo battle. Elsewhere, Kazura tells the boss there's no info on Narihira, hinting he might be from another world, yet his mark proves he's from Denji Heian-kyou. In the match, Narihira fights to prove himself. Using a paper veil trick, he and Atsunaga land some blows. Iruka and Kajiki counter with a swarm signal, but Atsunaga dodges. Boosted by a war chant, Narihira delivers a flaming punch, knocking Iruka out. Kajiki's left alone until Yura steps in with her Shikigami. Fired up, Seimei declares it a true 5-star clash. Yura pushes hard, barely giving them time to react. Atsunaga joins in, uses paper veil for defense, then strikes with 5 thunders. Yura deflects it skyward, nearly hitting Shino. Frustrated, Atsunaga quits. Kazura watches, noting Narihira's true power hasn't surfaced yet. Later, Yura rests at the plaza until Atsunaga passes by with Narihira, annoyed he couldn't recreate his black punch. Seeing her, he remarks she and Kajiki would make a solid pair. Yura snaps back, asking if he likes Narihira. Flustered, he denies it, saying Kajiki's stamina fits her style. Annoyed, Yura storms off. That night, Narihira cooks at Uncle Watt's. Asked about Atsunaga, he says he's training for the 5-star trials. When Tsukimiya asks if he wants to be a top onmyouji, Narihira says he just wants to protect his best friend, haunted by the memory of his friend being torn apart by an oni. Trying to stop that outcome, he asks Tsukimiya to stay near after tomorrow's show, but she refuses. The oni still terrify her, and the town's fear is justified. Even so, she dances to lift spirits during dark times and needs every moment at practice. Touched, Narihira promises to protect her. The next day, Chief Seimei suggests testing if Narihira can awaken his power again by having Atsunaga hit him with 5 thunders until it's triggered. Shino will jump in if things get too dangerous. Atsunaga thinks it's insane, but agrees when Narihira accepts without hesitation. As the attack begins, Narihira holds on, but the energy rips his skin. Kazura yells and Shino prepares to intervene, but Narihira stops her, using his last strength to cancel the blast, leaving everyone shocked, especially since he ends up unharmed. Meanwhile, Yura storms off, bitter he neutralized a move she barely survived. Ahead, she overhears 2 onmyouji speaking. Kazura asks the boss if he truly grasps Narihira's abilities, but the boss admits he's unsure, though he's beginning to think the outsider might be worth it. Yura, surprised, questions if he's seriously being made a 5-star, but Seimei quickly silences her, as she's overheard too much. The next day, the year's biggest event begins, and Tsukimiya's face is seen all over the city. Near the stage, Narihira reflects that it's the anniversary of his arrival in this world. Just before the show, he asks Atsunaga about the real goal of the Honest. Atsunaga explains they come through the black mist to steal people and things back to their world for food. They consume whatever they catch. That's why he and Yura hope to become 5 stars, to protect Denji. The performance begins, and Tsukimiya lights up the stage with grace and charm. As Atsunaga weeps, Narihira recalls how he first arrived, falling right onto that same stage during a dance, triggering events that led to him and Tsukimiya being swallowed by the mist. Realizing what's about to happen again, he panics and races through the city warning others. But people aren't sure if he's a prophet or just insane, until the city's pause system suddenly confirms the black mist is coming. Everyone bolts except the same girl Narihira saw before, frozen in fear. Determined to act, he pulls her away from the black mist. The next day, Atsunaga tells C that Narihira truly predicted it. Claiming to be from the future, Narihira says he saw Tsukimiya die, and when he did, time reset to this very day. Atsunaga was skeptical, but now believes him. During training, Narihira feels hopeful. The girl's safe. Maybe Tsukimiya can be too. Since he didn't fall off the stage this time, the advisor might not summon her, possibly changing things. Then Yura challenges him to a no-magic fistfight. Though pressed for time, he agrees. On the balcony, he remembers there's still a window before the mist hits. He asks if this is about her partner, but she insists she just wants to test their strength. They fight. Meanwhile, Atsunaga, still moved by Tsukimiya's dance, grows uneasy about what's to come. That's when Uncle Wada says the advisor's messenger praised her performance and wants to commend her. Back in the match, Yura easily wins and gloats. No one's faster than her. She accuses Narihira of insulting her, though he said nothing wrong. Turns out she's hurt Atsunaga chose Kajiki instead. She charges, feeling useless. Narihira sees her drop her guard and counters, winning. He recalls strike when they look away. Yura wonders if that's why Tsunomiya gave up on her. Narihira offers another lesson: don't assume based on looks. She won't know Tsunomiya's feelings unless she asks. Suddenly, an alert blares. The mist hits in 20 seconds. Narihira dashes to save Tsukimiya, but a barrier traps her. He rushes to find the onmyouji, but with Tsunomiya inside too, they can't wait. Narihira ends up with Yura deep in enemy grounds. An Oni nearly kills Tsukimiya, but Denji's Shikigami intervenes just in time. The monster survives and escapes using his signature portal technique, allowing him to fire attacks unpredictably. Fearing for Tsukimiya's life, Narihira shields her with his robot, taking the brunt of the flames. Kazu warns the reactor's power has dropped to D, risking shutdown. Meanwhile, the Oni prepares a deadly strike. Yura suggests fleeing, but Narihira refuses, unwilling to abandon Tsukimiya. He takes the hit directly, unlocking a hidden power. He charges the Oni, who tries to ambush him through a portal, but Narihira, having died like this before, anticipates it and lands the final blow. As the dark mist clears, he feels triumphant. Suddenly, he suffers a bizarre reaction and clones of him start appearing. Yura panics, trying to wake him, but fails. The Shikigami is then consumed by the black mist, transforming into an Oni and rampaging through the city. Abino Seimei steps in, summoning Toda, the Southeast Celestial General, to stop the chaos. Yura freezes, stunned to see one of Seimei's 12 Celestial Generals in person. The pilot leader wonders if Narihira transformed unwillingly, but the Omni lunges forward, forcing the robot to defend itself. Recognizing the threat, Seimei commands Toda to counter with a fierce strike. The Celestial General wields his staff, quickly gaining the upper hand. The robot then summons multiple spectral staffs that pierce and trap the beast. As it collapses, Seimei sees world particles spilling from his body, confirming his suspicion. He finishes it off by casting a spell that turns the creature into a wooden doll. Seimei realizes Narihira's power isn't traditional onmyo. It's something unique to him. Later, Narihira wakes up in bed with Kazura and two men nearby. Panicked, he asks for Tsukimiya. His alarmed reaction makes them tense, but he begs them to stay calm, saying he's no longer being controlled. Tsukimiya then enters with Tsunomiya and Yura, smiling as she thanks him for saving her. Narihira affirms he kept his promise. Yura, more serious, interrupts and takes him to the ruined part of the city to show the damage he caused. Kazura notes things could have gone much worse without Seimei's intervention. Meanwhile, Narihira is sent to speak with Seimei, who asks if the time traveler's abilities were always present. Narihira, just as baffled, says everything is new to him too. Seimei reveals he wants to use the power in the upcoming Centennial Pandemonium, but Narihira thinks it's too risky. Seimei prioritizes victory. When Narihira asks what the ritual is, Kazura explains that once every 100 years, the barrier to the Oni realm weakens and onmyouji cross over to destroy the Oni gods. 2 of the 5 stars are chosen to summon his supreme Shikigami and win 7 battles to maintain peace. Narihira asks if Seimei will take part, but Seimei says only those linked to the Oni realm qualify. He needs someone else to fight. Believing the Oni are stronger than ever, Seimei invites Narihira to join the 5 stars. Later, Narihira tells Tsunomiya, who's shocked. Though honored, Narihira admits he's leaning toward declining, prompting the pilot to spit out his tea in disbelief. Narihira wants to refuse because he's still new to onmyo's techniques and fears losing control again. Tsunomiya senses his concern and asks what's next. Though Narihira wishes to return to his world, he doesn't know how and feels there's something else he must do first. The next day, he apologizes to the townspeople whose homes he damaged. One resident, clearly irritated, says onmyoji standards must have dropped if Narihira is one of them, a jab that deeply stings. Seimei appears and takes the blame, explaining he was the one who chose Narihira. He bows and the villagers grow awkward. Seimei then joins the rebuilding, hammering boards by hand. When Narihira asks why he doesn't just use magic, Seimei says he's still drained and enjoys bonding with people through effort. Their determination, he adds, has inspired him for over 1,000 years. Shocked, Narihira wonders if everyone here is ancient, but Seimei says he's a rare case. All those years taught him that gestures like today win hearts. He then announces his section is done, earning sincere thanks from the townsfolk. Seimei has a plan to manage Narihira's powers, but before he can explain, Tsukimiya bursts in, calling out to her time-traveling friend. Hearing he's free tomorrow night, she invites him to the Centennial Festival's shop opening, which makes him beam. Unbeknownst to them, an onmyoji secretly watches. At the festival, Narihira arrives late and finds Tsukimiya in a yukata, annoyed by his tardiness. He blames the crowd, and she demands he win her an Abe no Seimei doll as punishment. Confident, he takes the shot, but the doll vanishes midair and reappears untouched. Confused, Narihira questions the trick, but the vendor denies it. Nearby, Atsunaga quietly celebrates the prank as Yura questions his presence. Atsunaga admits he didn't want to stand out alone and disapproves of the date. Still, he compliments Tsukimiya's look, flustering her. Narihira returns after confirming Atsunaga's trick and fumes at him, but Tsukimiya, ever cheerful, invites everyone to enjoy the festival. They take photos together, though Narihira makes his irritation toward Atsunaga very clear. Atsunaga clarifies that he and Yura aren't truly dating and confesses he still cares for Tsukimiya. Meanwhile, two civilians affected by Narihira's past actions recognize him at the festival. One kindly offers dumplings in thanks for saving their niece during the Oni attack, and Narihira slowly begins warming up to them. Tsukimiya remarks he must have had many friends, but he denies it. He then wonders if holding a festival during the centennial pandemonium is wise, but she assures him it's tradition. The joyful crowd lifts his spirits. Later, Moshi and Uncle Wada asked Tsukimiya to perform the ritual dance. Atsunaga explains it's part of the farewell before the pilots head to battle. While everyone enjoys the festivities, Narihira sits alone. Tsukimiya finds him and he admits he liked the festival but feels uneasy celebrating before war. When asked if he wants to return home, he says there's nothing left, his parents are gone, and he was always isolated. Still, their values stayed with him, and now he feels he's finally found connection here. His parents once said, "Don't get used to being alone," so he chooses to stay. Tsukimiya agrees, happy he's found meaning. Quietly, Atsunaga steps away. Later, Seimei names the new 5 stars and calls Narihira and Atsunaga. Though Narihira worried about his lack of control, Seimei says the stars always come in pairs. Atsunaga's balance fits his power. They're officially chosen. Atsunaga later laments Yura's exclusion, but she reminds him the fight isn't over. If they fall, she'll be ready. Atsunaga clarifies that he and Yura aren't truly dating and confesses he still cares for Tsukimiya. In a childish moment, she kicks Atsunaga and tells him not to die. On the day of the centennial pandemonium, Narihira learns that while normal Shikigami hold a summoner's soul, the strongest ones are created from the united power of all onmyouji, forming the 5 stars. Deep underground, Tsukimiya activates a virtual stage and begins a ritual dance, syncing with Seimei and the onmyouji. Once complete, a massive Shikigami is summoned. Narihira feels invincible inside it. As the Oni god arrives, he attacks, but Atsunaga reminds him to stay sharp. Spotting crystals, Atsunaga hurls lightning instead, but the Oni breaks free and charges. Smaller Oni grab the Shikigami's legs, but Narihira pushes through, smashing crystals and striking the Oni god. Though it barely flinches, the creature absorbs energy, completing the 7-step onmyo technique and reaching full strength. Yura warns everyone to flee, but Narihira charges in and takes the hit. The blast shakes the shelter above. The Shikigami is nearly destroyed, both pilots are gravely hurt. Atsunaga, barely conscious, tells Narihira to escape. He ejects him and launches a final attack in sacrifice. A huge explosion follows. When the dust settles, the Shikigami is gone, but the Oni-Vad survives, crushing the cockpit and attacking the facility. Narihira chases it in horror, only to find Seimei watching silently. Begging for help, he's told it's over. Dippers falls, impaling him. As he fades, he sees Tsukimiya's body, then wakes up alone on stage, screaming in fear. If you're enjoying the journey of this series, please hit that like and subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any updates.
Take you